Welcome to a new episode of the JSP Coffee Podcast. Today we will speak with Alex Krytskyi, a full stack developer and certified Scrum Master from Microsoft. Hello.
Hi.
How did you start work at Microsoft? Maybe there was something special that you remember from the interview.
It was a pretty lengthy process, to be honest. Initially, I started working at Microsoft as a vendor. So I worked for about 6 months as a vendor, and one day my manager comes to me and he's asking, "Are you looking for a job?" And I was so concerned at that time because I thought maybe he's asking, like, "Are you looking for the job elsewhere?" It's like he's trying to expose me or something. But then he's asking, "Would you consider to join Microsoft as a full time?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, I'm doing that." So after that, we kicked off the process. We went through the full loop interview, and so that was three different interviews, different people, different type of interviews as well. And probably the most memorable was just the lunch interview because it was so unusual. You just meeting up with the person, just over lunch and discussing things. They're trying to figure out, whether you're a good fit or not. Because working for the team, it's not just about your technical skills, but also about your personal skills, right? Hard versus soft skills. So yeah, so eventually I heard back from them. Everybody gave their feedback and I got in.
Okay, tell about your work experience, jobs, and how often you change them.
So I've been in the United States for 6 years now. And for the first year, I changed a lot of jobs, just trying to get to IT sphere in general. And probably so my first technical jobs were IT specialist. That was for about like a year, I think. After that, I was working for a small company for a startup. So that was a very interesting experience because the company is so small, the product is just getting developed. You're getting a lot of exposure to actual clients, you're meeting with them, and you're working on the feature, from start, asking for the specifications, then you're going through the process of development, refining the product, and then to the release process. So that was a very unique experience, which was quite interesting. And so after that, I started working as a vendor. I changed the job. I was working as a vendor for Microsoft and eventually got hired as a full time.
You have been working on one project for a long time. Now,
Mhm.
many employees in IT choose to outsource or jump from one project to another. How do you maintain interest in work and not burn out?
I was in the project for about 3.5 years at this point. And how do I stay within the project for such a long time? Well, it's a good question. It actually really depends what you're trying to achieve in your career. So if you're just trying to hop to the next level, next stage, sure, like jumping should be pretty good. That's probably the fastest way to go up. But what I prefer is just more stable development, and I'm looking at my role. I'm seeing things that I still can learn here. So that's the main reason to stay. I see more potential here, and probably even jumping within the company, such as Microsoft, is much easier. But since within the project there are like multiple projects, right? Multiple aspects to the same project. That's what helps you to make it to keep being curious about it, and it's just not that hard. It's not hard to burn out with such type of projects, right?
Next questions about the career leader at Microsoft. How quickly can you move up it? Goals, salary revision, testing for new level?
I would say normal cycle is about one level every 2 years. That's a standard pace. If you're a very good performer, you can go faster. But I would say minimum a year per level. So when you're joining the Microsoft, so we have like level-based system, right? So you're joining at level 59 as a like just junior software engineer. That's level 59. And then there was software engineer two, senior software engineer, principal software engineer. For each title change, there's two levels. So 59, 60, that just software engineer. Then 61, 62, that's software engineer two. So with every 2 years, I mean, probably about 6 to 8 years it's going to take you to get to senior engineer.
What about testing for new levels?
So we have a connect, so it's kind of like a quarterly review. So we have the form that we are submitting, writing it's like all the features that you worked on. And we have a couple of core values at Microsoft. And so whenever you're working on each core feature, your core responsibility, you need to show the impact of that. So it's not just like, I'll work on something, then did it make any difference? No, okay. You should start thinking more about your career. It's like, are you making any good impact? So you're gonna have a good record. So every 3 months you submit the report. Then once you're ready for the promotion, you can just talk to your manager. Just certainly work with your manager closely. And he's saying, okay, we have the whole bunch of listed features that you did. We have great impact. Now we can go and talk to upper management about this because I have things to show them that you did. They'll have much more reasons to promote you. But of course, if you were just slacking all the time and you're asking your manager to talk about the promotion, it's like, yeah, probably not going to happen.
What are the advantages of working in a large corporation? What do you like in your job the most?
Here at Microsoft, I would say it's stability. It's pretty consistent. It's not very fast-paced company, right? So there was no jumps all over the place. So it's consistent. The benefits are pretty great. I would say that's a very good point to stay at the company.
And what are the disadvantages? What would you change if you could?
It has a lot of politics. So we have like multiple levels of managers, product managers, all of that. Then it's a lot of meetings because of that. So just the chain of command is so tall, so it's getting hard. But luckily for me, I just have a manager that he's taking care of all of those things, and we can just concentrate on specific features and the development. So my manager is taking care of that. Like, yeah, he's been a shield for us, so that's a good thing. But overall, just the politics within the company that's a little bit more challenging. That's the thing probably that I would change.
It was honesty. Can you talk about work? Do you prefer to work from the office or have more possibility remote? And how does the company promote team building?
So right now, due to COVID, we all started working remotely. Then with the soft opening the gates, some people are coming back to the office, but the company allowed to work remotely or just hybrid. It's all up to each engineer. My personal preference right now is just working from home. It saves times with commute, so you don't have to spend time just in driving back and forth. Also, it gives more flexibility, so you can shift your working window, like from early morning a little bit maybe to the evening, because we're also working with international teams, so it really helps because you can allocate proper time throughout the day to meet with the different time zone.
Uh,
Yeah. Mhm.
Continue, please.
As far as the team building goes, so what we're trying to encourage within the team is always just show up on the camera, just at least to see each other faces. It really helps to build a team. Actually, such as small things, but make a huge difference. Right. Then we have just some social meetings where we just don't discuss work, just trying to connect with each other. I think those are the main things, and I want to say our team is pretty close to each other. We have pretty good collaboration because I know a lot of different teams are just completely disconnected. They don't talk to each other or just purely work.
Recently, everyone has been talking about lights in large IT corporation, including Microsoft. The tech giant cuts nearly 1,000 jobs, yeah?
Mhm.
How did it affect you, and did your colleagues worry about that?
It didn't affect me probably in any way. 1,000 employees for Microsoft is very minor percentage. Um, and my colleagues, they're pretty calm about it, just because, as I mentioned previously, Microsoft is pretty stable. Versus, so let's say the other company during the COVID times, they hired about 40,000 engineers, right? And now they cut down about 10,000. So they just have this big jumps of hiring, and Microsoft doesn't do that. So that's why we can just maintain more more stable performance. And so far, I didn't hear for us to have any more layoffs. So everybody's pretty confident here at Microsoft.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. Uh, Nowadays, the IT industry is fast changing, and even during work, you need to update your knowledge constantly. How do you evolve your professional skills, and what can you advise?
So Microsoft really invests in people. That's also what I really like about it, because you're not just the unit that performs work, but you're a person, and they're trying to develop you from different aspects. One of the aspects is leadership, so they're creating some events, some meetings for you to attend to and learn more about it. Second, we have one Friday a month that's dedicated for learning. So they just send out the invite and making sure just you're not doing any work, you actually just supposed to learn. They send you a bunch of materials, courses for you to review and just prom- so it's going to be easier for you to be promoted in your career. So that's what Microsoft does for the learning. And from my personal experience as well, it takes time and effort, a lot of effort, just to set time aside and start learning new technology. And probably the best way to do that as well is just pick up some random project and try to do that. Maybe let's say it's a new language or new concepts, and try to start implementing that. Versus if you just pick up the book about new technology and start reading, that's just more challenging to actually learn it. But once you try to use it, that's a completely different story.
And the last one question, have you ever wanted to start your own project or implement your own idea? Share your plans for future.
I want to say no. It's
Why?
well, startup, it's not that easy, right? So it takes a lot of effort, a lot of sacrifice. And according to statistics, it's only 10% of them survive after first year. So it's a very high risk path. And I just don't really want to do it. It's like you just pick your battles, right? It's like what's your intent? It's like if it's just to make some profit, it's just too much work, right? Too much work, too much stress, just too many sacrifices. So since I have a family, I have people that I need to take care of. Just better be more stable and find some other sources of income in parallel to what I'm doing right now. Versus startup, I used to work for startup. It's a day and night job pretty much. It takes just tremendous amount of effort. So I would say as a tech startup, probably no. As some other business ideas, most likely yes. Even just the real estate investment, uh, that's just a good way to create some passive income and to have some businesses on the side that requires less effort. Eventually, at least, that's a definite maybe.
Thank you so much for this conversation. The guest of the JSP Coffee Podcast was Alex Krytskyi, a full stack developer from Microsoft. See you in the new episodes of the JSP Coffee Podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.